Squad Pod. Squad Pod.
Hey everybody, welcome to Squad Pod Sports, where we bring you our latest thoughts on the latest games and news around the sports world. Got big guests this week, Jake from Sideline Sports.
Welcome.
How you doing, guys?
Thanks for being on, man.
I'm happy to be here. Love talking sports. I was telling you before. I'm always happy to do that.
Yeah, I mean, as everybody knows, we are sponsored by Sideline Sports Network, and Jake is a part of that. I was on their show last week, so it's only right to have him on the show this week,
Appreciate
But we
you
have a
being
lot
here.
of big news
Happy
to
to
talk
be
about, so I'm glad we have you on. NFL, a lot of free agency signings. They're adding a 17th game to the season now, 18 weeks.
A lot of
we'll
mixed
talk-
feelings about that.
Yeah, a lot of mixed feelings. March Madness is still going on, and we'll talk about the NBA hot and not, of course. Maybe some NHL news if we get to that. We'll see how far we go. Of course, the bias bubbles and the crazy sports stat fact of the podcast. But yeah, we'll hop right into it. Regular season has increased to 17 games for the NFL. The length increases to 18 weeks. The added game will feature teams from opposing conferences that finished in the same place within their division the previous season. Preseason is reduced to 3 games per team now.
That's surprising that that's the only hit it took was one game. To be completely honest with you, I thought they were going to at least eliminate 2 games from the preseason if you're going to add 1 NFL game, but we got what we got. I guess they're all about that. Like that, taking away 2 weeks of money, even if it's preseason money, is probably hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been met with a lot of mixed reactions amongst players, especially.
Mhm.
I know that like Alvin Kamara's come out saying like this is bullshit, and amongst
Somebody
players.
else. That was somebody. I think honestly that was probably the tweet I was thinking about. It was like immediately after it was talked about. It was just like this is bullshit or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
I paraphrased it.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's definitely like we kind of knew about it last year. They were kind of floating it like it was gonna happen, but like we didn't really know when. But I mean, it's coming this season, man. What are your thoughts on it, Jake?
So it was funny. We talked about it on our show, and I said, look, as a fan, I love it. Extra football,
Right.
great.
Yeah.
I'm ecstatic for an extra week of football. Even though the Giants, my team, they suck. I don't care. I love playing fantasy football. So that probably extends, fantasy playoffs, all that. Can't wait for that. That was great. So this all sounds great. But when you look at it, from an analyst kind of perspective that we all look at it, right? It sucks for the players. And we
Yeah.
talked
It's
about it.
gotta suck for them.
The way I thought about it was this. A regular season was 16 games. So you're now, let's say a player plays 8 seasons. So they play 8 extra games, right, in those 8 seasons, because it's 1 game for 1 game each season, right? So that's now 8 extra games. So what normally would have been at the end of their 8th season, they played 8 full seasons. They've now played what they're used to technically, what would be the equivalent to 8.5 seasons. So I think the problem is you're going to see a lot of players. You're going to see quicker retirements. You're going to see more worn down players. Why? Because they're playing more games. They're forced to play another game, which sucks. I mean,
Yeah.
do I love more football? Of course. But I'm afraid we're going to see more guys like Todd Gurley, right? Guys that like 1 year they're looking great, but because they're forced to play extra games now, they're going to deteriorate a little bit faster. Like Todd Gurley had a huge, fall from elite to like absolute garbage now.
Yeah, I mean, the life of a running back is
Right.
short enough as it is.
Exactly. That's what I'm worried about, though. And with the mobile quarterbacks now, right? Those guys take a lot of extra hits, and they take harder hits because they're open field hits. I'm afraid we're going to see, a guy like Patrick Mahomes, who got hurt last year, right? I'm afraid we're going to see more of those injuries, and we're going to lose them a lot faster. And for Tom Brady, I don't think it's going to mean anything. I think he's going to be fine because he's just the ageless
It's just
wonder
Tom.
that doesn't seem
It's
to
Tom
do
Brady. He doesn't get
He's the
hurt.
anomaly.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't make sense. Every other quarterback or player for that instance
They go
doesn't
through some sort of
fall into-
struggles. Not
Right.
Tom
They
Brady. Just doesn't get hurt. He's fine. I'll just go to a new team and then just win another Super Bowl. It's
just
cool.
toss and soup. All I can picture is like
the only player that's completely unaffected just because somehow he defies all logic. He beats Father Time. It seems to be like nothing to him. Like, oh, I want to play past 45. Like, that's a casual statement to him. To us over here, that we're like, excuse me?
What?
I want to be able to get up without
like
my knees
45?
cracking at 28.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, my knees crack every time I stand up, and Tom Brady's out here playing professional football.
It's crazy. Like, just get like it's a little off, but like I've been playing Madden. I'm like 5 seasons deep, and Tom Brady is still in the league. Everybody else is retired. Tom Brady's a free agent right now, just like bouncing from team to
That
team.
doesn't surprise me at all.
I know. Like even Madden knows Tom Brady's not going to quit.
Maybe don't let him retire until at least 45, 46.
Really?
Just because.
He reminds me of Wyatt. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about because I know you're bigger into hockey than Vern. He reminds me of Gordie Howe. Like
Gordie Howe.
Okay. Yager. Two guys that just like refuse to retire. I mean, Howe played past 50, and I still understand that. And Yager is not playing in the NHL now, but he's still playing overseas, and he's, I think, at least 44, 45. I don't understand it. There's always like that one guy that's just an ageless wonder, and I'll never understand it. And the problem with Tom Brady is he's not just playing, but he's winning.
He's winning Super Bowls
he
still.
plays at a high level, and he's like, oh, well, I'm almost 45. Yeah, I'm just going to go keep winning Super Bowls. No big deal. And I'm like, how does he do this? Like, and I think the craziest part to me still, never had any drugs that we know of. None. No steroids that I've ever heard of. No.
He's on the TB12 method, the avocado ice cream.
Right?
Avocado ice cream.
I mean, to me, is mind-boggling. You think he's got to be on some kind of drug. No, not as far as we know of. He's completely...
The drug of pliability.
What?
He's the drug of pliability.
Yeah.
He's got like T-shirts that say pliability, so like when he falls like a noodle, so like he doesn't hurt himself. That's the whole.
I specifically remember like years ago you telling me like that, like just you making that same like analysis where he's like when he falls, he just lets everything go.
He's like, and then he gets back up because he's just fine. He didn't fall all rigid or anything.
That's why he runs so weird too. He's just like, loose.
Just a noodle, right? He's a big noodle.
Fun of him, but if it works, I guess.
It works. It works, man. I'm interested to see how far they get this year, even still.
Yeah.
Even in year, 22, 21, something like that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and I mean, going back to the 17th game, with the way that it's going to be matched up with these teams, it does make a lot of interesting matchups. Like we talked about before we got on, the Packers are going to be facing off with the Chiefs. But I mean, it's week 17. Are all the starters even going to be playing? Is it really going to be matter at that point? Who knows? Mm-hmm. But another bit of news out of the NFL, out of old commish, Roger Goodell said he expects stadiums to be at full capacity next season. Yep. Like we back, we really back.
They're going to be fully back next year as long as everything goes according to plan. But like they're going to have everybody back in those stadiums next year.
I love the way that sounds.
Yeah, same here. Like it just felt so weird last season watching the games. Like you could hear that, like the crowd noise definitely helped, but even like they would take those shots where they would just like show around the stadium, and it's just empty, or just those cardboard cutouts.
Cardboard cutouts just weren't the same.
I want to hear like
you want to see the fans waving too. Like that's one of those stupid things that fans do. But like, I love that. I missed it. I didn't realize I'd missed it. So
and especially like during the playoffs, like when it's super loud and you could hear the stomping of people like thumping. Like, dude, it's just like you could tell it's different.
Honestly, you mentioned the playoffs and you make me think of something. You know, Green Bay was in the playoffs, right? Like the one thing I didn't realize I missed until we started talking about this now, the fans in the freezing cold weather, the camera zooms in on them and you can see their breath. And there's always that one guy that's completely shirtless somehow at Lambeau, and it's like
yellow and green, cheese head on.
Right, but like it's those little things that you don't think about as you watch it. When you normally watch it, what do you think when you see the guy shirtless? You go, "There's gotta be something wrong with this guy. Like, what is wrong with him?" Right?
Crazy.
That's the staples. Like,
you don't see it. Where is it?
The dude that dresses up as Andy Reid every year and goes to the Chiefs Stadium and like the Raiders, like the black hole and stuff. Yeah, I mean, you definitely miss those kind of fans that bring
It's
like,
much better with them, with the
yeah,
whole atmosphere. So
it
it'd be
really
great to
is.
get back to that.
You don't know what you got till it's gone, sort
Yeah.
of thing. Really
I missed
got
Lambeau Leap, and I'm not even a Packers fan. I missed the Lambeau Leap. They're doing it into an empty stadium.
I was
Like,
gonna
this
say,
is lame.
this
it's
is
no fun
late.
when the fans aren't going like this trying to hit the players. That's
Just
the fun
like,
part.
it's just like they're
Like
going
that.
wild for
Like end
the
zone
guy scored.
that they can run up to or whatever.
Yeah.
I
Little
loved it.
things you miss, and you don't realize it. You're right. You don't realize it until it's not there, and you're watching. You're like, wait. And Vern, you bring up a good one. The Lambeau Leap. I didn't really think about that, but you bring that up, and I'm like, I remember I can play in my head when I saw this season. And I'm like, that's really depressing. They just went into empty stands, like nobody was there.
No.
Think about like the Panthers. They got like the Pound or like
Yeah,
the like Skull. Like no one's there to do that shit.
Hey, and they just playing the sound over the speaker.
It's
It's
like the
like,
Eagles, like
Eagles score a touchdown. They just play the Fly Eagles Fly song.
Right,
When,
like, that's
when
not the same. Even look, I hate the Eagles, but man, that is one of those staples of sports. When
yeah,
the fans of the Eagles start singing. It's
After
one of
every
those things.
touchdown.
Sometimes I don't like it.
every touchdown. And it's
I
the
know,
best
like,
live too. Whenever you're
what you
actually at the
mean.
stadium, it's the best.
I don't like it either, but and I have nightmares of it because me and Wyatt go way back. So we've been playing Madden together, like locally, for since we were in like 7th grade type thing. So I've heard that fly Eagles, like every time he scores a touchdown, and I'm just like, so it's even more than real life football where that song gets me. It's like in the game, I see the fans going crazy in the game, and I'm like, oh my God, it just gets to me. But I missed it. I needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder, like, if Madden this year they're gonna put like no fans in the stands since for
I
last
really hope not.
they like a mode where you could put no fans in the stands or something like that.
Oh,
Another bit of NFL news I saw: NFL informed clubs that they can begin Phase 1 of OTAs on April 19th.
Oh,
Players are still allowed to work out at the facility in small groups, as many have been. NFL and NFLPA continue to discuss virtual versus in-person meetings and on-field work. So, I mean, it
Awesome.
seems like OTA is going to be kicking off middle of the month, leading up to the draft and everything. So, I mean, who knows? They'll get a little bit of a head start than last year. There was like nothing.
really good to hear.
yeah.
Because I was worried that they weren't going to have like any type of early like this, like OTAs. I was worried this stuff was going to get canceled or postponed. So that's great to hear that they're moving forward with it like normal.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
little things they just need, but I never thought I'd be so excited to hear OTA starting. But I'm
know,
ecstatic
right?
now.
No, like it's not very like exciting, but whenever it happens, like especially like with your team, you're like, oh, who's doing well in training camp, or like who's looking
It
pretty
just makes
good.
things feel normal
Good.
now, at least.
Yeah.
So that's like a little thing. I'm like, things
Makes
are
you
getting back to normal a little bit. I like this.
Exactly. That's all like the breaking news for the NFL, but I do have some other like free agency signings and cuts. The Colts signed T.Y. Hilton to a 1-year, $10 million deal, including
Okay.
$8 million. So he's going to be back for another year with them, with Carson Wentz under center.
Right.
And the Colts.
And the Bull Pittman with his number.
Yeah, Pitt he's like, nope, you ain't having my number. You got
Can't
number
get
2.
it. Maybe Carson can earn it.
It's
I
so
don't know.
weird. I wish they would have just wore like number 1 or something. I feel like number
Yeah.
2 is weird on Carson.
Number 2 looks wrong, and I don't even like him.
It's weird. The Bears agreed to terms on a 1-year deal with Damian Williams. He has a lot of familiarity with Matt Nagy's offense. Bears, I don't know what they're doing, man. Who knows what the Bears are doing?
Right.
Green Bay and tight end Mercedes Lewis reached an agreement on a 2-year, $8 million deal. Get a tight end over there. Jets finalized a deal with running back Tevin Coleman, which like I didn't even know he was a free agent.
Very under the radar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Jets been making moves. They're just one of those many teams that had the money to start making moves early.
Might as well.
Still making moves. Let me see what was next here. I got a lot of NBA news. A lot of NBA news. Cardinals announced they agreed to terms with Titans cornerback Malcolm Butler. Malcolm Butler's
Oh.
now former Super Bowl hero.
I was gonna say he's familiar with that stadium. He made a big play there.
Yeah, man. He's probably gonna love it every 8 games of the year. He's gonna be like, okay, I feel real comfortable. So that's another piece to Arizona super team that they're trying to build over there.
Right? They're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, me and Vern talked about it, I think, last week, where, man, they should be a contender. It's just a matter if they can get that offense and if Kyler like get clicking, because it's like a whole different team every week that you see out of the Cardinals.
Look, I
He needs to
gotta
take
give them
another
credit
step.
though. They're making good moves. They're making very smart moves.
Yeah.
So on paper, they should be able to compete. It's just a question of what can they do on the field. Because you know what, Vern, I look to your team, right? The Patriots. On paper, everything looks awesome, right?
Right.
But you never know what happens on the field because Wyatt, you and I are very much used to this. Everything every year looks good on paper for our division.
We
team,
said that.
right?
I had the
Weeks
Eagles
ago.
making a run in 2020. I couldn't predicted a 4-win season, man. I was like, man, Carson Wentz gonna come back to form. He's gonna take us on a run. We got weapons. We're fine.
NFC East is the perfect example of what happens when things look great on paper but never come to fruition. Ever.
Never.
They are the perfect example.
Unless you're the Brooklyn Nets. And that's a different story.
Well, we'll see where they end up, but that is a whole different story. But like you were saying, I've even brought that up to Wyatt. Like this team, this Patriots, all these free agent signings, what was it? I think I wrote it down for this week. Just to throw the number out there: 159.6 million spent over 9 days in free agents. Like that's great, but what's it gonna be like on the field? You know what I mean? Like I brought up the old dream team from back in the day with Namni Asama from the Eagles. Remember when they put all them and DeMarco Murray and that was just like the dream team. Like it was they're going to the Super Bowl, but like it ended up falling flat. Right, like that Sammy Sleeves, Sam Bradford. I forgot about him, but it could easily be this team. It could easily be the Cardinals. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the Giants have been making great moves this offseason.
I was going to say, Giants offense could very easily become that. I mean,
you
saw Kenny Galladay. I think, okay, Kenny Galladay. Now you got Saquon and him. Things look good there. I wouldn't be surprised if it falls apart. Why? Because they're the Giants.
I feel you. It's just got to see where it goes.
That's what I was going to say about the 17-game season is like now the Dallas Cowboys can't go 8-8. What are they going to do?
Oh, damn.
8-1
today. It was a meme of Cowboys fans, cheering on the stands, and the caption was Cowboys fans cheering because they no longer go 8-8. So they're either going to have 8 wins and 9 losses, or what would it be 9 wins and 8 losses.
Yeah.
One or the other, but they can't go 8-8 anymore.
8-1.
Actually, you know what? I was going to go 8-1 still.
Oh, if they go 8-1, that would be the first season of a 17-game season.
Like, they'll be up forever. I do just have a couple little things here still. The Bills agreed with terms with running back Matt Breida on a 1-year deal.
Oh.
Yep.
That's moved up there.
Yep. Seahawks re-signed pass rusher Carlos Dunlap to a 2-year deal, $16 million. The Bucks have pretty much brought everybody back,
except all their starters. 22 of 22. I
saw that. Was it like the first time since the 70s that a Super Bowl team has returned all 22 starters?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Tom Brady's in position to win this shit again next year.
The ageless wonder again.
Apparently, they've made a couple offers to Antonio Brown, and he just declined them. So I don't know if he's like just wants more money from him, or if he's actually going to test free agency. But he's been pretty silent.
Interesting.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of problems. I hate to say.
Yeah, that's true.
He's lucky to be playing football right now after last year.
Yeah.
Sammy Watkins signed with the Ravens. 1 year deal.
That's a good move. If he could stay healthy.
If he could stay.
That's a big F.
Yeah.
It's weird because, I mean, it seemed like the Ravens had a couple interviews with, like, higher profile wide receivers, but, like, they let every one of them walk for some reason. Or, like, maybe they saw something that maybe kind of
It might
Made
have
a-
just needed the money elsewhere.
Or maybe.
You know?
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Maybe not the culture fit either. That's always possible. That's like one of
Yeah.
those little things that you don't think about, but it's
Yeah.
very possible.
Yeah. Speaking of the Ravens, former Ravens wide receiver Willie Snead signed with the Raiders. So he pretty much like is going to be taking Aguilar's spot from
Right.
Raiders.
Yeah.
And we still have a big question mark as far as what the quarterback going forward and oh my God, I almost said Oakland and Las Vegas is going to be.
Yeah. The Vikings signed former Cowboy safety Xavier Woods, which
Ooh.
is a pretty big signing for them.
Yeah.
He's still decent.
It's always the question, will the Cowboys actually be good, though, or will they just look great on paper?
Mm-hmm.
Probably just great on paper, because I mean,
I hope so.
it seems like they've lost some pieces without really gaining anything this offseason. But I mean, they still have look at that wide receiver core. And I mean, the offense. I mean, it's their defense they really have to do something about. That defense is horrid.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah, exactly. Buffalo Bills announced that Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield of West New York will be the new naming rights partner for the Bills Stadium. So it will be Highmark Stadium for the Bills.
Bills Mafia is still going to be jumping through tables.
And now they're going to be covered by Highmark. They got
Now
help.
they got health insurance to do it, so
It all makes sense.
It's
it
all
all makes sense.
together.
I love it.
And the last two things I have here, drafts here at the end of the month, there's already been some crazy moves that have been made. Quite
Yes.
some moves.
Moves that have made it harder for the Patriots to move up. And I'm not very happy about it, but it is what it is.
It's traded the number 3 overall pick to San Francisco 49ers for the number 12 pick, 2021 third round pick, and first round picks in 2022 and 2023. And then they weren't done yet. They traded their 6 to the Eagles traded their 6 to the Dolphins for the number 12 and their 2022 first round pick. Teams also swapped mid round picks. Eagles picked 156 for 123. So I mean, Eagles got in. I was not expecting this.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. And I mean,
What we were talking about last week.
Surprised, because this is like how it always happens, out of nowhere. Howie doing it again. I hated it at first. I got to sleep on it a little bit. I got to kind of assess the situation. I would like it more if someone else was making the picks.
We made the same joke on our show today. I said, here's the thing. Doesn't matter what pick the Eagles have, because Harry Roseman's in charge, and that man is, we always joke, we think he's secretly Bill O'Brien with like a little Scooby-Doo mask, kind of like a Scooby-Doo. He's wearing the mask and pretending to be this guy, Harry Roseman, but really when he pulls it off, it's just Bill O'Brien.
What I'm saying is, like, I don't know if he thinks this is his last year, so he's just going to take this shit. But I don't know, man. At least with the 6th pick, I was like, this foolproof. How he just got to take the top dude. Like, it is what it is. But you trade back to 12. I don't know, man. You can mess up that 12th pick.
You could still probably grab a great wide receiver at 12, and now you have extra picks.
Yeah, I mean,
You
because they're saying like the first 4 picks are going to be QBs. Who knows what's going to happen from there on out?
They said 5 might be gone by the time we pick at 15, man. So I'm like, damn.
So who knows, man? I'm a little weary about it. I mean, with that extra first round, if Carson plays well for Indy, we get that first round. So next year, if everything goes well, we'll have 3 first-round picks next year. So
that's dangerous.
Yeah, we have 3 firsts next year. So maybe the new GM that comes in will be able to do something. Howie hopefully will be gone.
I'm hoping Howie stays, just as a Giants fan.
I think, I don't know, because I mean, there's a lot of rumors that maybe they get in this draft capital, try to get Watson, or what's Russ. I feel like Russ is a little old to be trading a bunch for right now, because I mean, who knows? But Watson, I don't think he's going anywhere right now for the time.
Now
Get into that, but that's a whole nother can of worms. But I don't know. I mean, 3 firsts is going to be nice next year, but it looks like this year might be a little rough. might have to go through some hard times this season.
Hey, go into the season with lower expectations. That way, whenever they overperform, you're at least a little bit happier.
Look, you
You're like,
expect them to go what now would be originally 0-16, now 0-17. If you expect them to go 0-17, the very worst thing that happens is you meet your expectations, right? The best case scenario is they exceed them, and every win that they gain is more than you expected.
And last year, I felt that way about the Patriots. I was like, I'm not very confident on anything. I'm just going to hope for the best. You know what I mean? So their finish last year, it wasn't very surprising to me, more because like everybody saw it coming, you know. So like I was going into the season though, I was like, oh yeah, we got Cam Newton, we're gonna be great. We might win 10 games. A couple games into the season, I'm like, this is not what I thought it was. Yeah, maybe we'll win like 4 games. It switched drastically, you know, like then, and then what 7-9, I think last year, but I'm having nightmares right now thinking about that season. I'm not used to that shit. Okay, as a spoiled Patriots fan, I'm not used to that shit. Well, let's move on.
I mean, the last bit of news that I have here is that Justin Fields ran a 4.4 today. Only first-round QB to run faster 40 time since it was 2006 when Robert Griffin. Oh no, that was in 2012 when Robert Griffin did it, but that was the last time it's been done. So I mean, the real question here I want to ask you guys is: who would you take, Fields or the kid from BYU? Because I mean, who Trevor Lawrence going to the Jag probably.
I might go with Trey Lance or Justin Fields. Either one of them, honestly, to me, because Justin Fields is going to be great. I know it's just pro day. It's just footage, no pressure, no.
Yeah, they're saying the other kid was sliding today because he had a couple like overthrows.
Mac Jones.
Right.
Yeah. I saw there was a clip of Bill Belichick just like.
He was not happy. Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as he like cut directly to him, but he's no. You want me to trade up for that?
Justin Fields had a 60-yard bomb on the run today.
So did Zach Wilson. What was it, yesterday, I think?
Yes, exactly.
And that even that kid lost the field too.
Yeah.
I think Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Fields, all of them, not just Trevor Lawrence. This is a great quarterback draft class. This is going to be nice to see. That's why I feel none of them will fall to 15 for the Patriots.
I don't think so.
Maybe Mac Jones.
You better trade up.
Yeah, and see, I wanted to talk about this a little bit in the bias bubble, but like the only thing that I saw online that could be potential is us trading up to the 5th pick with Cincinnati because they're the only team up there that doesn't need a quarterback. Their biggest need right now is about like offensive tackle, something like that. So we can give them our pick at 12 or 15, where there'll be a high value offensive tackle still. Sure. We'll give them some other picks and maybe N'Keal Harry or something, or like who knows, but. That's the best case scenario, and the 49ers and the Dolphins trade made all of that a lot harder for the Patriots now because it's more valuable to move up that high. So this week was a cluster fuck for the Patriots as far as the draft goes.
Well, I was gonna say because I did have like the picks of like who has the most picks and who has the least. The top 3 is Eagles with 11, Minnesota with 11, and then the Patriots have 10. So I mean those are the top 3 teams with the most picks. The last you got Seattle with 3.
3. Seattle only has 3.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson's just over there sitting crying like, okay, not getting help this
picks, dude.
Maybe next year. He's like Aaron Rodgers. Like he knows what's going to happen during the draft. Probably draft quarterback.
Here it comes.
Probably just go draft another quarterback. But that's all the NFL news that I have as of right now. But we can kind of get into March Madness stuff because I know that I'm sure you had some March Madness things prepared here, Vern. There were some ups.
Just more or less wanted to go over what was going on. Looks like right now we actually have the Elite 8 is underway.
Yeah.
We have Michigan and UCLA playing, and then we have Gonzaga already beat USC.
Dude, I feel like Gonzaga, that's like the team to beat. Right? They're so damn good right now.
They trounced them, bro. They're 30-0. They haven't lost in I forget how long. They're just killing shit right now. So Gonzaga might be the team to beat here, even though both of us were talking. We really want to see like teams like let me see here. I just want to go back.
Surprised UCLA made it this far. I mean, I talked about that last week on the podcast. I didn't think they were going to make it this far, but
we both were talking about we wanted to see Chicago and Villanova win. They lost during that week of our podcast there. You know what I mean? Oral Roberts is out. You got Syracuse out. So it just seemed like, okay, now we're really getting the teams like the Michigans, the Gonzagas, the teams that are going to win this. You know, the teams that are going to go as deep as possible. Even though, as of recording, Michigan is losing to UCLA right now, but we'll see what happens here going into the Final Four.
I bet on UCLA tonight just because of the upset. I was like, I'm just going to bet on. I think that's probably the most likely, but who knows?
But on the other side of it, we also have Oregon State lost to Houston, so Houston's moving on to the Final Four, and then Arkansas's run came to an end to Baylor, the 1 seed, so Baylor's moving on to the Final Four there as well.
Nice.
Yeah,
we'll get the other 2 today.
All those higher seeds that I was like, just one of them get to the Final Four. Just one of you needs to keep going. All of them lost. I'm like,
like the span of a couple hours.
I'm like, I just want one to make it because that'd be really cool. Like you have like a seed that's probably, let's say, 8 or higher. Like that, I think that's like a fair number. Like that's really like the bottom half, if you will.
Yeah.
Right. Like one of those teams make it. That would be so cool. And none of them did. And I'm like, UCLA, looking to you right now.
It was nice, like you were saying though, to see Oregon State was in there. They're at 12. You know what I mean? Like, but they ended up ultimately losing.
It was nice
Houston, but
different.
It was nice to see that a 12 in the Elite Eight. But we got back down to the bare bones here. No Duke, no Kansas, no North Carolina. So you got the other 1 seeds coming out. The other great basketball schools that are always held up by these teams.
It's our time to shine.
They're like, oh, okay. But I'm looking forward to the Final Four. It should be great, no matter what the matchups end up being.
Yeah, definitely.
Got a lot of great teams left.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll be talking about that next week, of course. But now on to the NBA. I know you got your hot and not list this week.
I do. It's not very, very long this week, but I do. Got the Clippers starting it off on the hot list, okay? 6 straight wins. Killing
6
it.
straight.
8-2 over the last 10. They've been great. They made a trade here recently. Who did they just pick up? They traded somebody away, right, to the Hawks.
I know I probably have it here somewhere.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, I have a ton of the trades.
It's escaping my mind right now, but Utah is also on here. They're 6 straight wins. They've been killing it lately. They just destroyed Brooklyn the other night, even though they didn't have any of their starters.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked last week how Utah kind of went in that slump a little bit after the All-Star game, too.
Yeah, but now they're back. Like
they're back.
Mitchell, man, I think over the last week he's averaged 32 a game. Donovan Mitchell, he's great, man. It's amazing. I love seeing it. We got a team that's a surprise on this list this week. Sacramento. They're usually every single week they're on this not list.
Usually they're on the not list.
Every single week, bro. They're on a hot list this week, man. 5 straight wins, 7-3 over the last 10. So they're not even on like a little 2 or 3 game. 5 straight, they're rolling. Portland, they're doing great. They're kind of finally getting back up to strength there, you know.
Yeah.
3-game winning streak, 7-3 over the last 10. Brooklyn, they were doing great. They're only on a 2-game winning streak now. They did take that loss to Utah. 2 over the last 10. And then I do have Philly on here, even though they lost. They're on a 1-game losing streak. They're 8-2 over the last 10 because they've been hot. They've been super hot lately.
They're actually losing right now. They were getting blown out by
Denver.
Denver, yeah.
Right. So they're probably. There was more of an honorable mention. That's why they're last on the list here.
Yeah, and I mean I think they still have Embiid out.
Right.
I think is Simmons out still?
He's playing. Because he was there when they beat us the other night.
No. Okay. But yeah, I mean they've definitely been on a run though.
Oh yeah. So see what happens going forward there as far as those teams. We got some typical teams like Utah stays on the list. Philly has been on it a lot lately. Portland and Brooklyn, we got, just see what goes. But as far as the not list, I hate to do it to you.
Oh, I know. I'm expecting it. The Chicago Bulls.
To do it to you, but they're number one this week. They're the team with the worst losing streak at the moment. Currently in the NBA on 4-game losing streak.
In their last 10.
3-7 in the last 10 for Chicago.
4-game losing streak. Oh, it hurts.
They made a nice trade, so hopefully things will be going in the other direction here.
It's only been 2 games. So, I mean, it got work chemistry because we did trade like 4 different players from the team.
Exactly.
But yeah.
I also have Cleveland on here, 3-game losing streak, 3-7 over the last 10. Doesn't seem like they're doing anything this year, And then Toronto, 3-game losing streak. They're one of the most fluctuating teams in the league. They've been on the hot and the not list this year. Like, I don't understand.
I mean, it looks like going on. They're starting to slide a little bit too. They're 4-6 in their last 10.
Just a couple weeks ago, Toronto was on a 9-game losing streak. So you might as well consider them done. They're gonna just keep streaking like this. They're 1-9 over the last 10. Get them out of here.
We talked about last week how the potential of your boys sliding. They moved down 1 spot. They are at the 4th seed.
Yep.
Like the Clippers have jumped the Lakers.
Yep.
So now they are 4.
After being 1 game ahead of them pretty much all season, because the Clippers were on our heels the whole time, they finally pulled away. Now they're a game and a half ahead of us. So we did make a move, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the moves, the trade deadline was last week. Of course, it was right after our podcast.
Of course.
And
like that.
So, I mean, there are a lot of moves that happened. Some of the bigger ones here. I mean, Cleveland Cavaliers finalized a deal to send JaVale McGee to Denver.
Nice.
So he's on Denver. I mean, his name was linked back to the Lakers. I mean, it was linked to the Nets at one point. But, I mean, overall,
good
went to Denver.
Because they're a team that can definitely make some damn noise in those playoffs, man. Don't sleep on Denver at all.
Yeah.
They're right behind us. They're going to pass us.
The Celtics finalized deal to get Evan Fournier. Fournier from the Magic to 2 second-round picks.
I got a little factoid about him.
Oh,
he's
yeah?
I saw he's the first player in the modern era, or like maybe the second player ever in the modern era to go shoot at least 10 shots in his debut with a new team and go scoreless. He went
really?
10 for the
my
Celtics
God.
in his
I was
debut.
like a good, this is a feel-good fact. Nope.
Opposite.
Scoreless out of 10 shots.
Opposite. Evan Fournier is like one of the, I think they said maybe the second player in the shot clock era to go scoreless on more than 10 shots in his debut for a new team. I was like, damn. Boston can't catch a break.
Speaking of Denver, what we were talking about, they picked up apparently Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and a first-round pick are being sent to the Magic for Aaron Gordon. So Aaron Gordon is part of the Denver Nuggets.
Oh man, I feel like I missed that one. I don't know how I missed that
one. Yeah, Aaron Gordon is on the Denver Nuggets now.
Makes them even more lethal.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's going to be Denver and Utah in the Western Conference Finals. So.
And there's the 2 teams I always get confused for some reason.
Me too.
Like always, Utah and Denver.
You got players
Honestly,
that are similar.
Same.
Always.
I'm just like
I don't know why.
Like it's everybody, dude. I don't. For some reason, it's just those 2 teams. I was like, wait a minute,
like. Okay. I am the same way. I feel like a lot of people are. That's like a secret that you don't tell anybody, but once you hear other people are like, that's crazy,
That's crazy. Oklahoma City Thunder finalized trading George Hill to the 76ers.
Okay.
So, I mean, the 76ers were linked to, like, Kyle Lowry, and I think they were linked to one other big name, too, that they were trying to get. But, I mean, that's really what Philly was hoping for, was trying to get Kyle Lowry. But, I mean, they ended up not dealing him at all, so he's still in Toronto. Yeah. And I guess he can leave next year as a free agent after the season. If he wants. Speaking of the Raptors, they traded Norman Powell to the Blazers for Gary Trent and Rodney Hood.
Okay.
Let me see here. OKC now has 17 first-round picks over the next seven drafts.
Oh my
I saw that.
That's good
Wow.
for them.
That's crazy.
I'm like, all right, let's restart. We drafted KD, James Harden, Russell Westbrook. We can
Start
do it
again.
again. Yeah, exactly.
Clippers finalized a deal to acquire Rajon Rondo from Atlanta for Lou Williams.
That's what it was. That's the deal I was talking about. I couldn't remember. I knew it had something to do with Atlanta, but I couldn't remember the pieces.
New Orleans sent J.J. Redick and Nicolo Melli to Dallas.
Okay.
J.J. Redick on Dallas, just for that fits for some reason for me. To me, I feel like that's perfect for him.
He's back.
Once again, the rich get richer. The Nets signed LaMarcus Aldridge.
And
got bought out by the Spurs.
and Blake Griffin.
Well, yeah, we did report on the Blake Griffin trade before.
Man.
But yeah, they got Blake Griffin too. And KD and Kyrie and James
It's
Harden.
wild to me that KD and Kyrie and James Harden been like James Harden's been playing, but KD and Kyrie haven't even been playing. Like
And they still look great.
They still look fine. Like they're just killing teams, and it's as soon as they come back, it's like, man, it's almost like the Warriors with Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson. Like we're expecting them to win at this point. It's like maybe some team in the West can beat them in the finals. That's where we're at. That's where I'm at.
And if they lose, why? Why did you lose? Like this was your first chance to lose. How did you lose?
Yeah,
Like,
it's not why or how.
And your own roster, how did you lose?
I'm interested to see what happens, man. I want to see if they even can make it because Giannis is still in that division. You still got the Sixers over there. So like we all think they should make it, but there's a lot of other teams that are like, oh, we're still here. I know they got a super team, but
we talked playoffs.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it was last week we talked about it. They kind of remind us of the Chiefs. They're like amazing offensively, but defensively they're really not that great. They're kind of lacking. So like, I know we talk about like, oh, they're a super team, they're so good, but if you don't play defense, it's a little hard to win at times. Like they can only score so much, and that's the only way I think they're gonna win.
They have to score
well.
Yeah, the bucket's got to go in, and if you can't stop them, and you're on an off night, you know what I mean?
You're screwed. Exactly. That's what I'm
at least you know.
Blake and Aldridge, they like could put two big men underneath that basket, get all the rebounds.
That was as rebounds possible.
This was kind of messed up. I don't know if you saw this or not. Oklahoma City Thunder are turning to younger players in their nightly rotation, and they're putting 5-time All-Star center Al Horford on the bench. Like, he's not going to be playing at all.
He's going to be staying with the team.
Yeah, but just because they want to focus on playing the younger guys, they're like, nah, you ain't going to play. Like,
Right. And like you said, because they want to focus on the younger guys in the rotation. So he's going to stay. He's going to work out at the facilities. He's going to be there with the team and stuff like that. Kind of help mentor younger guys. But then after the season, he's out.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was kind of like I was kind of hoping that they were going to maybe trade him by the deadline if they could at least get something for him. Like, what's the point of having him
What's the point of having him if you're just going to sit him the whole time? It's not fair. It's not fair to him more than anything.
Yeah.
And he's an aging vet, so, like, he needs to get playing time.
And if you couldn't find a trade, like, work on a buyout or something. Let him go where he wants to go.
Maybe he could go to the Nets as well. I mean,
I wouldn't put it past him.
Why not?
Speaking of buyouts, Andre Drummond got bought out, and he's officially a Laker now. Apparently, he's going to be playing for you in the next game.
Thank you, Andre Drummond, for joining the Los Angeles Lakers. I appreciate it. We need your help desperately. Thank you.
And speaking of the Lakers, apparently Dennis Schroeder was offered a 4-year, $84 million extension, and he said, nah.
Turned it down. He said, I'm good. We'll see what happens after this season, if we're hoisting that chip or not, because my value will go up a lot more if we are. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens with that.
I was surprised.
He's been all right. He's been great so far
For a
for us.
little bit, wasn't he? Like he was out for a minute. Isn't he out for a minute?
Yeah, a couple games, but he's been all right. He was playing the other night against the Sixers. That's just the last game I watched with my boys was against the Sixers the other night. We lost, man. I was disappointed. It was coming down to the wire. But I kind of feel like it's not super surprising because at this point he doesn't have any real reason to be committed to us, So we'll see what happens going forward.
Yeah, we'll see if Braun wants to keep him around.
Yeah, we'll see if Braun wants to keep him or not.
I was going to say, it's really ultimately his decision anyway.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's a rumor that Braun was trying to recruit Steph at the All-Star game. That came out. And I was like, because apparently Steph can opt out of his deal after this year if he wanted. He could become like a free agent. And Braun was like, "Why don't you come over at the All-Star game? He's trying to recruit him." I was like, "How is this not tampering? Didn't he get in trouble for this with AD?"
I don't think he really cares.
I don't think it's just NBA LeBron league.
Yeah, I picture him and Lonzo talking when he was on the Cavs and Lonzo's on the Lakers, and he's just like, I'm coming to the Lakers, and you're gonna have to go to New Orleans or some shit, right? I know what you mean. How is it not tampering? But I also agree with you. Like, I don't think he cares. I don't think he cares.
He's LeBron James. Why would he care? Right? Like that's how he looks at it. I'm sure.
I got Space Jam coming out in the summer. You want to be in the next one?
Like 3% of that movie that I made. That I'll pay that fine with that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, for real. Of just that movie, he doesn't even have to get into his endorsements or his basketball.
30% earnings from Space Jam. That'll pay for his fine.
Ridiculous.
Apparently, Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell could be on the trade block this summer.
Wow.
Apparently, the Timberwolves are looking to completely rebuild.
Yeah, at this point, you might as well. They're real bad this year.
Let Karl go, man. He's been long and he's been held hostage long enough. Let him go.
He's paid his dues.
Yeah, more than on the basketball court too. Dude, having a couple years.
Yeah, for real.
And I think the last bit of news that I have, other than I was gonna save that for the bias bubble. But the 2021 NBA draft will be on July 29th. And the draft lottery is planned for June 22nd.
Nice.
Can't wait.
I hope to not be a part of that.
Book it.
Try to be a part of the draft lottery.
You won't have to be a part of that. I'll probably be a part of that. like last year and every year. Hope for that number one ball.
I'm hoping for that watching the draft lottery, watching the draft, also we could just draft Lonzo Ball.
I remember this past season we were like the lottery, it was we weren't in 10 through 5 or whatever, and then it was the final 4 balls. I was like, we gotta get that number 2 or number 1. It was
That's how I felt.
Number 4. The Bulls. I'm like, son of a bitch. Are you kidding me?
Why? I know how you feel. I'm a Knicks fan, and I remember watching. I was like, all right, we're gonna get number 1, number 2, number 3, maybe. Right? We don't know. Nope. I was like, really?
I was so hype. I was like, we gonna get the top 1. Nope, 4 or 5. It was 4 or 5. I was like, I
was like, really? I was like, why? Why do you hate all of us?
I feel like it's rigged against the Knicks, man. That was some bull back then when what was it? New Orleans was getting the 1 or no, Cleveland was getting the 1 every year over other teams.
Yeah,
it was just
when the Pelicans got number 1, when they got Zion, I was really pissed because that was when they got rid of AD and then replaced him with Zion, and I was like,
I was really hoping we were gonna get Ja or Zion in that draft.
Right.
I was like, come
really?
on.
You mean to tell me the Knicks, one of the worst teams in basketball, couldn't get the number 1 pick? You gave it to the Pelicans, who just lost a superstar, and are just going to be like, yeah, we'll just replace him. I was like, this is rigged.
It is. That's how I feel about, man. Even I'm nothing about me New York Knicks fan. I felt for the Knicks when I saw that happen. I'm just like that because at one point I'm like Zion to the Knicks. I remember that for weeks we were like Zion's probably going to end up on the Knicks.
And don't get me wrong, I love RJ Barrett. He's been great. And I'm not trying to complain about him, but it was just the agony. I was like, why do you do this to us? We
right, exactly.
Especially Zion that rookie season, he didn't play much, but this year, like he's like no eyes are really on him, but he's having a hell of a year this year, and he's looks like maybe he could be like the next Bron or something. Like dude's still like yoked.
He's gonna be a superstar.
He could be, yeah. He's gonna be the next superstar, man.
I think someone like Ja Morant.
Ja Morant
is my favorite young bull in the game right now.
Yeah,
other than maybe, I do love Donovan Mitchell too. Donovan Mitchell is amazing, but I think, Luka too, man. The future of the NBA is so bright. I'm so excited. I forgot about Luka. But what's his name? Ja Morant is I think my favorite out of the young guys.
Yeah.
I just want to see him like skyrocket as far as skill. Just seeing him, he tries some of the craziest dunks over people.
Did you see what he did last night?
The between the legs dunk?
Yeah, like right after the game.
Yeah. No. It was like right after a whistle. Like he got they blew the whistle and he just like went for it. It just did like a between the legs dunk, bro.
I would have looked that up after this podcast.
It was wild. It was cool. It was awesome. Yeah, I agree with you though. Ja, I was hoping we were gonna draft him at that point, but dude, I wish we could have got him on the team. He's so good.
Memphis got a good one.
I just have a cool stat here. I don't have any more NBA news. Jojic from Denver, he leads his team in every stat.
Every single stat.
Every single stat, he's number one on the Denver Nuggets. Points, rebounds, assists, steals, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, free throw percentage, minutes. It's crazy.
Steals and shit like that. Like, that's the wild part. Big man.
He leads in every single stat.
He's
I have
MVP
one
candidate.
funny thing that happened at the trade deadline, which I heard, which I thought was a funny stat, or I don't even call it a stat, just a thing that happened. But I thought you'd appreciate it. Every player named Gary in the league was traded.
I didn't know.
There was like 3 or 4 of them, but every player named Gary was traded on that day.
That is so weird, bro. That's like a glitch in the Matrix type of thing. Like algorithm messed up and settled the Gary's.
The players you listed that were traded, right? I think there's like 3 or 4 guys named Gary. I'm pretty sure that's every player though that's named Gary because but think about it. How common is that name? Well, it's not. So to have 3 of them traded or 4 of them traded on one day, well, that probably is all of them. And you look and you go, yeah, that is all of them.
That's crazy.
Gary's. Like, get them out of here. We getting these guys out of here.
Yeah, right.
I'm glad
your name was Gary for leaving your team.
That's crazy. I didn't know that, man.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else, Vern, as far as NBA basketball?
Honestly, I had news about the buyouts and the trades, but you hit pretty much all of those. And then I also had don't sleep on Utah because Donovan Mitchell's averaging 32 points a week. And we already covered that as well.
Yeah.
Or
Utah.
Game, not 32 points a week.
I don't go back. I looked it up. The 3 players that were named Gary Clark, Gary Harris, Gary Trent Jr. Those are the only 3 players named Gary, and all 3 of them were traded. I just looked it up because I was curious. Yep, all 3 of them.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
Like, you look back at like 90 in the 90s rosters, there's probably like 30 Garys.
Yeah.
On the 90s and the 80s, there's like 30 different Garys, I'm sure.
Well, that's an awesome trivia question. You go, on what day or what year did every player named Gary get traded in the NBA? Like, it's an obscure.
That's gonna come up on some like ESPN show, like in 10 years.
Jeopardy.
Right.
In 10 to 15 years. One day, every Gary was traded in what league?
Right. And it wasn't. It was all in like one day, I think. That they were all. I think they were all traded right before the deadline on the same day. It's even crazier.
That is
I'm not sure, but I know all 3 were traded.
Coordinated that. They must have like got together on that one.
Think about people at the NBA league office getting these requests in and like mixing them up because they're all different Garys, and they're like, wait a second, what Gary is it?
They're like, let's wait to process all these all on the same day.
That's how I got the.
Have you ever seen what's it called, the league?
The league? Oh, yeah, the fantasy football show.
All I can think of now is collusion. All I can hear is Nick Kroll's character yelling about collusion. That's definitely what happened.
I didn't realize you were talking about that FX show. I love that show.
You have a player named Gary. We must trade him today. Okay, let's do it.
Collude. His face when he would say that was so hilarious.
Yeah, I don't have anything else NBA, but every now and then there is a little bit of news that pops up out of the NHL. Because the NHL is one of the most quiet leagues there is.
Yeah.
There's not much going on, but it did make a little waves this past week. NHL fired referee Tim Peel after his comments about wanting to give Nashville Predators a penalty. He was heard on a hot mic during the game. Apparently, his specific comments was, "It wasn't much, but I wanted to get a fucking penalty against Nashville early," and like they're like, "Nope, you're out."
It was a makeup call. That's what it was, a makeup call for a bad call earlier in the game. And all I could think was, this happens like all the time, right?
Yeah.
Just because he got caught doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And apparently the NHL came out and said, this never happens. He broke our code of conduct. And I remember looking at it, I go, are you sure you pay attention to the games? Because if you watch the game, all sports happen all the time.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Every single sport, because as fans, we're watching the game and we're like, oh.
It's like makeup call. There's rules. But, like, if you say it out loud, all right, you got to go. Like, gig is up.
It's like something as simple as ball don't lie. Whenever you see an interception and then there's a penalty, so they bring the interception back, and then the next play is an interception again. That's a ball don't lie. Like you know what I mean? That was how the play was supposed to turn out.
My favorite part of that whole sequence, though, if you listen closely, the ref he was talking to wasn't like, he didn't act shocked or anything. He was like, yeah. Like basically, I get it.
That was kind of like it was out of the ordinary, right?
Right. Like that was my favorite part of it, because no one talked about it. But I remember hearing that, and I go, so you mean to tell me the league acts like this is a big deal, but the other ref speaking to Tim Peel was like, yeah, like, I got you. I get where you're coming from.
I get what you're saying.
What do you mean it's not that normal? He just confirmed it and said, yeah, no big deal.
Should have been like, oh, how dare you?
Exactly. Like, if it's a big deal, he would have been like, that's not right, or would have said something else at least. But he was like, yeah. Like that was basically what I was like,
but that's like exactly the action, everything. Like I've seen stuff on like McAfee talked about it, but there's other sports show that talked about it, and they're just like, this is nothing new. Like this is like everything happens. He just got caught like on a hot mic saying that shit.
It's like saying you don't speed when you're driving. Everybody does it at some point. It's just a matter of, do you get caught or not? That's all it is.
Unwritten rule that like you go 5 or 10 miles per hour over.
Exactly.
Like I'll get pulled over by hey, that's the leeway.
Exactly.
Sometimes you push it.
Everybody knows about it. It's just he got caught like an idiot. That's all.
And I think it was like I saw something about like it was his last year or like one of his full years anyway. And he's gonna retire, but they're like, nope, you go.
So maybe they wanted to fire him.
Out of here. Said was they didn't fire him because it was his last year. I think what they did was he will not be reffing any more games this season. So he can still technically retire and not fired.
He's not fired, but he's technically not working.
Right. He's just not working any games, but he wasn't officially fired, which is like the nicest way to say you're fired.
Like just walk away.
Right.
Just walk away.
Don't come back.
But other than that, there really isn't too much new in the NBA and the NHL. Pretty much it's all the same standings from last week. Nothing's really flip-flopped at all. Yeah. So I mean, each week we kind of report on the standings, but I mean this week there really hasn't been any change. Let me see
up on the screen right here. So
Nashville, I mean they're on a 6-game win streak. That's notable. Let me check what else here. Flyers still stink, even though they won. Buffalo, man. Buffalo is on an 18-game losing streak.
Oh, they're the Houston of the NHL.
Yes, and I mean, I just said the Flyers stink, but last night they played Buffalo. They were down 3-0, and going into the third, they came back and won it in overtime against Buffalo.
Buffalo's like, oh no,
that's not even a reflection of the Flyers. That's a reflection of just how bad Buffalo is.
I think Buffalo is now tied for the biggest losing streak in like NHL history. I think I saw. Like they're tied with it now.
It's a historical losing streak now.
It's historical. They're tied with the record.
Oh, good.
Oh God. But other than that, there really isn't too much else that's really worthy. I mean, even though the Flyers stink, they're one game out of a playoff spot because Boston has been sliding here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a close division, and trust me, I've been keeping my eye on that.
Yeah, it is. Man, it was nice weeks ago when Flyers were number one for the first 6 weeks of the season, 7 weeks. But now we're sitting at number 5. It's not looking good. Flyers just put a couple guys on the waivers, so they might be gearing up for a big trade here. Hopefully, they need some help on defense.
Yeah, trust me, I'll talk about that when we get to brag about our own teams. I have plenty to say. I think you know where I'm going with this.
But yeah, I mean that's all I have as far as NHL. I don't really have anything else of note. I did have a little stat here. Jimmy Garoppolo is entering his 8th season in the NFL and has only played in more than 6 games once in any season of his career.
Because he's back up and then he was hurt.
Yeah.
Jimmy G.
Jimmy
G.
But that's
actually part of my bias bubble today for Jimmy G.
Oh, I figured it would be. But yeah, speaking of bias bubbles, we can just kind of roll into them here. Since you're the guest of honor, Jake, you have free reign to talk about your teams. Tell us what's going on.
Well, I start with the Giants, actually. Love the signing they made. I know we touched on it earlier, but look, I know it means nothing because it's only on paper, and this is what happens every year, as we've previously mentioned multiple times now. But love the Kenny Golladay signing. Absolutely loved that. That made me so happy because at least Daniel Jones can say, hey, I have receivers now. If I suck, it's on me.
Yeah, we did talk about that on the Sideline Sports Show last week, how this might be like a prove-it year for old Danny Dimes, old Danny Nichols.
I mean, look, he still needs an offensive line, but I think at least you can say, look, he's got guys to throw to. If he still sucks, it's on him, not the rest of the team. Previously, I could say, fine, other guys sucked. Now, if you suck, Giants fans are going to let you have it. You're not getting away with this anymore.
Yeah,
we talked about that as well because we love the moves that you guys are making.
Yeah.
Honestly, even like Wyatt was saying, even as an Eagles fan, like he respects. He's like, damn, you know what I mean? We can see you guys are making some moves, pushing to make some type of impact this season, and see, like you were saying, is this Daniel Jones' problem or is this a personnel problem?
I expected them to win the division last year. I had them pick to win the division, just because because nobody else was really great at all. I mean, I had no faith in Washington, but I mean, they put together a little run there at the end of the season.
Yeah. The only really notable thing, because baseball is going to start soon, so I look forward to that. The Knicks are okay. They don't completely suck, which is, I guess, kind of nice. I've had a reprieve of, at least right now, what are they? They are 24 and 23, so they're above 500 for the first time.
Yeah, man.
Like in the 5 seed right now.
They're hyped right now. They have a lot to be excited about.
They're in the 5 seed right now, bro. Behind Charlotte.
Look, I know they're not going to make any noise, and it's not going to mean anything, but it's nice to see them not totally suck.
Yeah, man.
Right.
For
Julius
sure.
Randle's been killing it.
Yeah.
Former Laker, you're welcome. He wasn't like him. But I love to see that. I love to see Brandon Ingram doing well. I love to see D'Angelo Russell doing well. Even like Lakers drafted. I love seeing them do well, no matter where they go.
The only other thing I got to talk about, and Wyatt, I'm sorry I have to do this, but my Rangers against your Flyers.
There was like a 3-game streak where the Flyers let up like 19 goals, bro. It was wild. I think it was 18 in 3 games, or like 18 in 3 or 4 games. It was wild.
The last game we lost 2-1 to the Flyers, fine, but before that we won 9-0, including a 7-goal second period, which I believe was tied for a record.
Yeah.
And I believe it might have been a franchise record, but I'd have to check on that.
I think it was the worst loss in Flyers history. One of them.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've worn this jersey in weeks.
Mika had a 6-point period alone in that period. And then, if that wasn't enough, just this past Thursday, so last week, the Rangers played the Flyers again and won 8-3. Mika had another 6 points because apparently he's decided to turn on God mode and destroy everybody in his path.
Is that a record? Because that sounds, I don't know much
sure
about hockey. That sounds like a shit. That's like, to me, Steph or Klay Thompson dropping 30, 40 some points in a quarter.
He's been on fire. I mean, like, he went from completely cold, couldn't get anything going, to I think he's got almost like 20 points in his last maybe 10 games or something like that. Like, he's been on fire. I mean,
yeah. You just needed that one game to kind of give him like confidence.
That Flyers game was all he needed because he exploded. And I mean, I missed it. When we won 9-0, I was watching it and I kept saying, "Okay, guys, like I understand you want to keep scoring, but we've won. I think we can stop now." And they just kept going. I was like, at one point, I actually said out loud to myself, I go, "You know, I actually feel bad for the Flyers right now because this is just over. This is just." I felt bad because it was too much. I was like, "All right, you won. You proved."
I miss the days of where we were only losing to the Bruins and we were beating everybody else, and I miss the days when we were only lose by blowing leads. Now we're just getting stomped on from the get go. Before it was like we'd be like up 3 goals and then lose somehow. Like what's going on?
That's like at least at one point you had hope.
Yeah, but now we're just getting stomped. We're like the defense is so bad.
Yeah, that was rough, but that's all I got for you. That was my big brag.
Man, the Flyers had a rough couple weeks here. But go ahead, Vern. I know you got a lot to talk about.
Honestly, we covered a good amount of my Lakers news. So the only thing I have left here is about LeBron and AD's injury updates. It looks like AD is still a couple weeks away from anything. Reevaluation, you know, they keep looking at him, but he's still a ways away. That's more or less how they put it. A ways away. Not months, but
just there's no timetable as
really
which is even scarier.
It is even scarier because it makes me wonder, like, is this worse than we thought it was? You know,
how serious is it? You don't want the Warriors KD situation where like all right, if you really want to play, go out and play, and then it's like Achilles out for a whole year, 2 years.
Right. But and then also LeBron with his ankle injury with the high ankle sprain is that timetable is 4 to 6 weeks.
Jeez.
Right now. Yeah. So we're gonna be without LeBron for a good month and a half to 2 months at the least.
Yeah.
You know? It'll be coming right up close to playoff basketball, man. So I really hope that we get both these guys back here fully healthy for a run of the playoffs. Even if maybe we get LeBron back and AD comes back a little bit later, like maybe first or second round, you know, that's fine. But if we ever want any shot of beating Denver or
the Clippers, the Utah,
Clippers,
the Suns.
The Suns even, bro. Like, I'm worried about falling down too far and having to match up with one of them in the first round. Yeah. So that we need this Andre Drummond signing was huge. Hopefully it kind of gets us back going. We got 3 big men out there now. I mean, Harrell's not really a big man, but we got Marc Gasol, Harrell, and Drummond now. Even though Drummond will most likely just be the starter.
That gave you an aspect of your game you really needed.
Mm-hmm. We still got 1 roster spot available there.
And Kuzma going out there trying to grab boards.
Right. And Drummond's averaging like 13.5 before he sat, so get him grabbing boards for us.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much all the Lakers news I had. As far as the Pats go, the Jimmy G situation, I don't think anything's going to come of it. We don't have necessarily the cap space to sign him. I think we have like $10 million left, and he's going to be like a $20 million cap hit.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think realistically it even happens based off of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Shanahan and the 49ers said they had no intention of dealing him. But, I mean, he does have the no trade clause, so he would get to choose if he got traded, you know. So
right. I know it's been speculated, there have been rumors flurry, everybody's talking about it, and I just don't think it'll happen. We signed Cam, like he's on a 1-year deal.
Is such a huge question mark, man. That's a gamble if you wanted to trade for him.
And it'd be too much to give up just to get a gamble. Just to get it's a
exactly
high risk, low reward.
It's better just to run it back with Cam, who already pretty much knows the system. Just kind of build around him for this year, see what you guys can do next year.
Absolutely. And if it doesn't work out, that's another thing I have here. Is it's really, as much as last year was a prove it year for Cam, this is a crazy prove it year. Like, and I don't look at it even as like a prove it year for himself. I'm thinking about us as an organization going forward. Are you going to be our short-term answer, or are we going to use whatever we do after, say we get a quarterback in the draft this year, or go after a potential free agent next season where Aaron Rodgers possibly be available? You got other quarterbacks that could possibly be available after this season for one reason or another. So it's I was really reading up there talking about, is Cam Newton going to be the short-term 2 to 3 year option where they're building this championship team for, like, they want to, with all these moves they're making, they're in a win now mindset.
Yeah.
Is Cam the quarterback, more or less? That's what this year is going to be proven. Like, if not, they're moving on from him. Next year we'll try something else because we have these pieces. We're just trying to win now,
Yeah.
But,
and just in a Cam point of view, this is a real prove it year because now you guys have the weapons you put around him. Mm-hmm. He has this year to prove that he can still play and be a starter in the NFL. Whether if he's in the Patriots' plans going forward or not, he's trying to prove himself to the rest of the NFL. Like, hey, I deserve a starting spot, or I deserve to be in the NFL.
I agree. I know we talked about this on my show. It was last week, I think, or I don't know. I know I've talked about this before, but basically what we all agreed on, and I agree exactly what you said. Look, he's got the weapons. Last year you could see fine, he didn't have enough weapons. You give him a pass. Kind of like I said with Daniel Jones for me, right? No, not enough weapons. You give a quarterback a pass. It's understandable. Now, if Cam sucks, his career may just come to a halt somewhat. Like, at least as a starter. Like, this is his chance to prove he's a starter, because if you can't win with all the talent around him, I don't know. I don't know what else you need at that point.
It's like Matt Stafford now, going to the Rams. Like, you're in a good situation.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. Like, you get to prove who you are now.
Yeah.
So, I'm interested to see how those storylines play out.
Yeah, me too. I'm really interested to see how that Matt Stafford Jared Goff dynamic plays out.
Yeah.
Where
they Carson on Indy.
And Carson.
Man, you actually have an offensive line. You got some weapons. Do something.
And a defense.
And a really, they were a playoff team with Phillip Rivers.
Right.
But Carson, if Carson can get back to form with Frank Reich, man, Indy could be dangerous. Who knows?
Right. And then I did have, looks like, just 2 more things here. I had we already covered this a little bit. Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels were at Mac Jones Pro Day.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan was there.
They were
talking with
impressed.
him. Yeah, shaking his head.
And then apparently, rumor has it, Gilmore is not opposed to re-signing with the Patriots.
I did see that. Yeah.
Hey, if he comes back a little bit cheaper, he would be a better option at a cheaper rate than, even though I love him, than like a J.C. Jackson who's younger, but would be more expensive at this point in his career. You know what I mean? Like, if we're going to keep one, keep the former defensive player of the year and Stephon Gilmore.
For sure.
Might as well, dude.
But I saw that too as well. It was the first time all season where I've seen anything about him potentially re-signing with us. It's all been about trades, and I've kind of become comfortable with the fact that we're going to lose him. This is just news to me. Where I'm like, okay, cool, sounds good. Re-sign, please. Like, be part of this.
Hell yeah.
But that's all the bias bubble I had for today.
Okay. Did you see the video of Kyle Shanahan scouting the dude? What was it, Mac Jones?
Mac Jones, yeah.
Yeah, where Mac Jones overthrew that the receiver, and then it showed Shanahan staring at him, and then it just cuts to Jimmy G overthrowing Emmanuel Sanders in the Super Bowl.
No, I gotta see that, a meme, a mashup.
Yeah, it was like a mashup. It just shows Shanahan just staring, and then it just flashes.
World War II
yeah, just flashback. It just shows that play where Jimmy G overthrows him. I saw that today, bro. That was pretty funny. They're too quick with it. Speaking of my bias bubble, we already talked about the Flyers a little bit. It looks like there's a pending trade. Who knows? They put a couple guys on the waivers. they need all the help they can get if they actually want to try to make a run at something. Because, I mean, they started off the season so well. It would just hate to see it end like this.
Yeah.
The Bulls aren't looking too good as of right now, but they did make a significant trade here before the deadline. They traded Carter and Otto Porter and 2 first-round picks to the Magic for Nikola Vucevic,
Nice.
and
Nice.
Imanu.
Huge.
Yeah, it's huge. So now we got
He
2
needed to
all-stars.
get off the Magic.
Now we got Zach LaVine and Vucevic, which I was saying it for weeks. The Bulls were missing a big man. And I wasn't big on Wendell Carter in the first place, so I'm actually kind of glad we got rid of him now. So I mean, I love the addition. The 2 games that he's played for us already, he's already balled out. So I mean, he's just picking up where he left off. So I mean, got those guys, and then the Wizards traded us Troy Brown and Mo Wagner for Chandler Hutchison and Daniel Gafford, and then we went around and traded Mo Wagner to the Celtics for Daniel Theis. And Daniel Theis played for us last night, dude, and he balled. He had like 3 blocks. He had a crazy dunk. Like he's a really good player, man.
He's a really good player.
And apparently they were actively trying to get rid of Lauri Markkanen. So I mean, it looks like, and they already benched him. He was a starter for the Bulls, and now he's coming off the bench, and it's looking like he's going to be gone after this season. So I mean, and from what rumors have it, they're looking to get another All-Star in the building.
I like
they're
the moves they're making. It's
trying
showing
to
life.
ask their star in free agency. So I mean, it's looking like the new front office is changing the culture of Chicago already.
Right.
And I love it, man. I mean, it may not be looking like it on the games because, I mean, we just don't have the chemistry. I mean, look, we traded like 4 players. And I mean, it's news within the past couple of days. Zach LaVine has a lower ankle sprain. He played through it last night. He played a full game, but apparently as of right now, they're saying he's back at stage 1 because he played. So he might actually assess on maybe sitting out a game or 2. So who knows? Depending on who we play, might slide a little bit. But I mean, we're still only like, I think we're right outside the 8th seed. So I mean, who knows?
Never know.
Who knows? Maybe it could slide into the playoffs. As far as Eagles news, there really isn't too much other than that the draft trade, which who knows, man. I like the move if we select a decent person at 12. I like it because then you're still adding assets for next year.
It's if.
Yeah, because it's setting us up to actually build something in the long run. But I mean, I don't know. It would have been nice to see like Jamar Chase or like Kyle Pitts or like, I mean, there's a lot of mock drafts and stuff saying Devontae Smith could slide down to 12.
I would be so surprised if Devontae slides to you, but like I was reading the same thing. It's possible that you can still land one of these wide receivers. You can still do it.
There's 2 reasons I hate this. One is how he's making the picks, but, and this is you're part of this, Jake. The only reason I hate trading back up to 12 is because now New York and Dallas pick right before us.
Oh.
Not so much New York, but Dallas are spiteful enough to just take somebody just because we wanted them.
They did it last year.
They did it last year.
They did it last year, man.
Last year, they're gonna do it again. I trust the Giants more than Dallas because Jerry Jones, he lives just to like fuck with Philly.
Who's the wide receiver? What's the boy's name? The young CD Lamb. Yeah, that's it was right before you.
I think it was the pick. They took CD Lamb.
Pick before you.
And we but no, we're gonna take Jalen Reagor. Well, like what? That's like
I remember when it happened. You called it. You were like, "Oh my god!"
DK Metcalf.
Nope.
Who? I don't understand, man. I do
right with the pick either. Like it's not like it worked out and you're like, "Oh, this was a great." Nope.
I actually have some faith in Jalen Reagor, but bro, I would much rather have Justin Jefferson over. But JJ Arcega-Whiteside has done nothing. Nothing. I mean, Howie has drafted 2 Pro Bowlers since 2016, and that's Miles Sanders and Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz isn't even on the team anymore.
And Miles Sanders is underused, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, but that could be
We-
because Peterson offense.
We emphasize on that too, because his average is wild. Why do you not use him more?
I think he was number 1 in like yards per carry, and he had like the most 20+ yard runs in the season. And bro, I mean, Miles Sanders is a beast. But I would say it every single week. Miles Sanders show up in the first half, second half, he's like not even there, man. They start using Boston Scott, or we're just gonna have Carson pass it every play, even though he's throwing picks. But other than that, Jets signed Eagles Vinny Curry, who was a free agent. And the only other news is there's no news on Zach Ertz within the so I mean, I don't know, man, because I talked about it last week. They want at least like a 3rd rounder for Zach Ertz, and they told him you can go out and try to find your own trade, but it's up to us whether we accept it or not. And I mean, I said it last week that if they don't trade him and they roll with him through this last year on his contract, and he'll be a free agent, he gets to go wherever, and we'll still get a fourth comp pick whenever he leaves. Mm-hmm. So I mean, there's always rumors about the Eagles will be fine with keeping him, and I mean it's kind of up to Zach at this point. I mean, it's up to the teams that want him if they want to offer a 3rd round pick for him or just wait a year to get him, you know?
Yeah, but for I don't know. Just the contract, right?
So, I mean, I'm half expecting Zach Ertz to be on the team next year, but I don't know how that's going to shape up with Dallas Goedert being like pretty much that dude now. But that's all the news I have until some other crazy stuff happens with the Eagles. It's like every other week at this point. So, I mean, there is only one thing left to do, Jake, is our crazy sports stat fact of the podcast. I did have to go online and find some more ones. I had to re-up on them. I was running low.
We're running low. We're on episode 35. We had a lot so far.
But this is a pretty crazy one. Wilt Chamberlain had 55 rebounds in a single game. The performance, which took place on November 24th, 1960, was even more memorable because it came against his arch rival, Bill Russell, and the Boston Celtics.
Oh, so he scooped
55 buckets of rebounds against Bill Russell, who was averaging like 20 rebounds a game. You know,
love to know his full stat line for that game.
Right.
Like 65 points, 55 rebounds, 27 assists.
Right. For rebounds too is 55.
That's nuts.
God damn. That's like not even I don't think I've ever heard that number attached to anybody but or maybe a Bill Russell. I don't know but
I looked it up because I was curious. That is the record, in case you were wondering. That is the record for a single game. In case there was any doubt that somehow someone did better.
And if anybody did better, it would have just been Wilt with 57 or something like that.
Have like the stats for that game, or did you just pull up like that record?
I didn't find the game, but I'm sure I can find it if I look.
How many Bill Russell had? Because if it was just him and Bill, and I feel like those were the tallest dudes on the court, I feel like they had to split them.
I don't know. I'll have to see if I can find any stats on that. But that's nuts to me.
That is pretty crazy.
That is wild. 55 rebounds, dude. That's never going to be topped again. And I'm sure just like the 100-point one, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Just Philadelphia Warriors, it says. It was Boston Celtics versus the Philadelphia Warriors. And the Celtics won that game.
It says it was 1960.
1960. I found it here.
Okay, hold on. So I found some stats. I don't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no,
that wasn't enough. He also added 34 points on 15 of 42 shooting from the field with 4 assists, and he played 48 minutes in the game.
Oh, my God, bro.
So he had a double-double, and he had over 30 in 2 categories.
Oh, my God. It was
Excuse
ahead
me?
of its time, bro. Like, that is crazy.
And to answer your question, Bill Russell had a double-double as well. He scored 18 points and got 19 rebounds.
19 rebounds. I saw it here.
So
19.
That's still impressive that he had 19 rebounds. That's a great game in and of itself.
Yeah, but Wilt's there like, nope, give me that. That's my rebound.
Okay, I found that game here. I see it here.
That
Third-
is wild.
So Vogt only had 4 assists in that game.
Only.
He had 4 assists. He's like 35, grabbing rebounds, going down and scoring. Oh my God, that's so cool. It's so cool to look back on that.
Oh, this dude took 42 shots.
He did take 42 shots, 15 and 42. Oh my God. Four free throws. It is so cool to look back on that type of shit.
Oh my gosh. And then like everybody else, like I mean the Celtics had a decent team, it looked like well rounded.
Oh
I
I
my
just picture
God.
all the other dudes on like the teams just being like a foot or two shorter. Russell.
It's just the two of them duking it out.
Bro, it looks like they had another game in 1960, January 15th of 1960, they matched up against each other, where Wilt had 42 rebounds, 44 points, and Bill had 29 rebounds with 15 points. It looks like Bill Russell ended up winning that game, but like it's just wild to be like, this list I'm looking at is every matchup they've ever had, and the stats are ridiculous. Like the amount of 20 rebound games or 30 rebound games.
At that time was Wilt and Bill Russell, and then you had like later like Larry and Magic.
It's
Those
ridiculous.
rivalries, man.
Golden age of basketball.
Oh my
Now
God.
we have super teams.
That's really cool though.
Yeah, man. But yeah, that's the show. It was a very good episode. We want to thank Jake for coming on.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want to plug here, Jake?
No, just sideline sports in general. I mean, like they said at the beginning of the show, Squad Pod Sports is part of Sideline Sports Network. We got a lot of shows, including us. Sideline Sports, our channel specifically, we have our show, the just Sideline Sports, very similar to what Wyatt and Vern are doing here. Just cover sports news, talk about it, debate about it, all that good stuff. And then we have an NBA carousel. So if you're a big NBA fan, we have a whole show dedicated to just that. We'll have probably between 5 to 8 people per episode covering whatever teams are covering. So we don't cover every team every episode, but we do cover certain teams per episode, talk about what's going on with the team, any trades, rumors, recent games, anything like that. And if you guys want to find us on Twitter, Instagram, any of that, we're Sideline Sport 1. If you want to find us on Facebook and YouTube, just look up Sideline Sports. And if you want to find me and all the other content, you can just find me on Facebook as part of the easiest place, or Twitter. Either of those, just look up Jake Malik, and you'll find me there.
Awesome, man. And we really want to thank you for coming on, man. We really appreciate it, and especially thanks for like having us on the network too, man.
No,
Absolutely.
Look,
Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys having me on. We love having you guys on the network. This is not a secret to anybody that we're just trying to build a network of like-minded shows that want to put out great sports content. So we're happy to have you guys. Happy to be on an episode finally after all this time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And we'll have to get you on again here soon, especially like the rest of the guys on.
I'm
the
sure we'd love
Sports
to.
Network.
Little Squad Pod versus Sideline Sports.
Yeah.
Discuss
Maybe we can.
that.
Maybe we can. Yeah, we'll have to hook
We have a
something up
great
here soon.
That would be
Yeah, something like that.
that'd be fun.
But yeah, till then, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to check out our show, Squad Pod Sports, every Thursday, Squad Pod Podcast every Friday, and Squad Nights on Monday. And make sure to go follow us on Twitter at Squad Pod Sports. And until then, we'll see everybody next week.
Peace out. All right. Officially done.